Never stop reading Bible. Every leader, no matter the field, eventually faces that moment. The one where everything just seems to go wrong. That first, really crushing failure. Today, we're jumping into an ancient story that maps out this exact moment, looking at these critical chapters from Exodus 4 through 6. And believe me, this isn't just some old story. It's like a blueprint for what happens when a huge mission crashes into cold, hard reality. And that really gets to the heart of it, right? What does leadership actually look like in that specific moment of failure? When the whole plan falls apart and the very people you're trying to help turn against you. Let's get into it. All right, so our story kicks off in chapter 4 with a leader, Moses, who is, well, he's anything but confident. He's been handed this massive, world-changing task, but his first and biggest hurdle isn't a powerful king or a massive army. Nope, it's his own self-doubt. Just think about the incredible gap here for a second. On one side, you have the mission, free an entire nation from slavery. And on the other side, you have the guy chosen for the job, and his whole take on it is, I'm not a good speaker. He's completely zeroed in on what he thinks he can't do, trying to get out of this history-making assignment. So to deal with this really deep doubt, God doesn't just give him a pep talk. He gives him proof. Moses gets 3 tangible, powerful signs of assurance. And these aren't just little magic tricks, They are demonstrations of a power that's way beyond his own, designed to build up the confidence that he just doesn't have. And here's what's so interesting. Even with these incredible signs, God still addresses Moses' specific fear about public speaking. The weakness isn't just magically erased, it's worked around. A partnership is formed with his brother Aaron, who steps in to be his spokesperson. So the team is set, and the stage is ready for their first real test. Okay, now we hit chapter 5, and the whole tone shifts. The prep time is over, Moses is armed with his signs, he's got his partner, and he has his mission. He steps onto the main stage. This is the moment of confrontation, and it's where the ordeal really truly begins. So they go before Pharaoh, the absolute ruler of Egypt, and their first request is actually pretty clear and direct. It's framed as a religious duty. Just let the people go so they can hold a festival. This is the very first test of their brand new authority. And Pharaoh's response? It's so much more than just a no. First, he just scoffs at the whole idea that there's some higher authority he has to answer to. And then, in this act of pure tyrannical power, he decides to punish everyone for just asking. His arrogance is just, off the chart. The fallout from this is immediate, and it is brutal. Instead of sparking any hope for freedom, Moses' big move makes life dramatically worse for his people. Pharaoh orders them to keep making the same number of bricks, but now he's not going to give them the straw to do it. Their burden becomes completely unbearable. So how do the people react? Do they rally behind their new leader? Absolutely not. They turn on him hard. This quote just captures their fury perfectly. They point the finger right at Moses and Aaron, basically accusing them of making a terrible situation 1,000 times worse. Their very first act of leadership has been a total and complete disaster. And this is where Moses just hits his absolute lowest point. He is completely crushed. He takes all that blame from the people, and he just turns around and throws it right back at God. It's a question just filled with despair. He's questioning the entire mission. He feels totally and utterly defeated. But right here, just as Moses hits rock bottom, the whole narrative pivots. Chapter 6 is all about renewal, but probably not in the way you'd expect. God's answer to Moses' despair isn't some quick fix. It's a really powerful reframing of the entire situation. Instead of fixing the immediate problem, God basically zooms out. He reminds Moses that, hey, this mission, it isn't actually about you. It's about a covenant, a promise that was made centuries ago to his ancestors, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Moses, you see, is just the final link in this long historical chain. He's here to see that old promise fulfilled. Now, this is where the text does something that might seem a little strange. It drops in a whole family tree, a genealogy. But it's there for a really important reason, to reinforce this idea of a covenant identity. It's like written proof that this mission isn't some new thing. It's just the next chapter in a very, very long story of God's faithfulness. And that's really the core message of this whole renewal.
The power for this mission doesn't come from Moses' own skills or his eloquence. It comes from the fact that he is working with the exact same God who has been faithful to his people for generations. It grounds the whole mission in history, not in the success or failure of one single terrible day.
So, what are the big takeaways from all this? Well, first, that huge, important missions often start with some really deep personal doubt. Second, that sometimes your first big step forward can actually be a massive setback, one that makes things even worse for a while. And finally, that real resilience, it's not found in just your own strength, but by connecting to a story and a purpose that is so much bigger than you are. Which leaves us with a final question to think about. Is failure just a detour on the road to success, or is it actually a non-negotiable part of the path itself? Something to chew on. I hope this look at a leader's first real test gives you a new way to think about challenge and resilience. The source analysis for this explainer was provided by the Center Studio. Thanks so much for joining me.